Today I examine the postbellum American economy through the economic experience of James Cash Penney, focusing on how he grew a national retail business despite growing up poor. There is a connection to my research paper as Penney's 48th store opened in our downtown area, giving him stores in all 48 states. My paper is focused on the changes to downtown since 1900, and I felt this tied in well. Rather than treating Penney as a simple rags to riches figure, this discussion situates his success within the economic structures created after the Civil War, particularly wage, labor, corporate organization, and moral capitalism between 1865 and 1900. James Cash Penney was born in 1875 to a struggling farming family in Missouri. His family's poverty reflected the declining viability of small-scale agrarian independence in the postbellum era. As historian Robert H. Wybe argues in The Search for Order, the late 19th century marked a transition away from producer independence towards salaried work within expanding institutions. Penney entered this new economy through wage labor, beginning as a retail clerk. In his autobiography, he recalled that his father taught him poverty was not a disgrace, but it was a responsibility. This belief shaped his willingness to accept discipline, hierarchy, and delayed reward, traits increasingly necessary for economic mobility after the Civil War. Rather than resisting wage labor, Penney embraced it. This choice reflects what historian Sven Beckert identifies as the rise of a new bourgeois order, where advancement depended on retail from the ground up, dependent on mastering systems of management, finance, and trust, rather than owning land. Penney learned retail from the ground up, gaining experience in inventory control, pricing, and customer relations long before owning a store. Because Penney grew up poor, he lacked the capital traditionally required for entrepreneurship. Instead, he relied on credit and partnerships, a defining feature of postbellum capitalism. He opened his first Golden Rule store using borrowed funds, later explaining that success did not depend on money, but upon character. This emphasis on character functioned as what historians describe as moral capital. Penney's Protestant ethics reassured investors and customers in an economy increasingly dependent on impersonal transactions. Historian T.G. Jackson Lears notes that late 19th century Americans often used morality to stabilize the anxieties of modern capitalism. Penney's Golden Rule philosophy, catch sales, fixed prices, honesty, did exactly that. Penney reinvests his profits rather than extracting them, allowing each store to finance the next. His poverty made him cautious and systematic. As he wrote, I learned that success was largely a matter of learning how to serve others within a system. This approach allowed him to expand steadily rather than speculatively. Rather than competing with large urban department stores, Penney targeted small and mid-sized towns, connected by railroads but underserved by national retailers. This strategy reflects what historian Martin Schuyler describes as the rise of corporate capitalism, growth through organization, standardization, and delegation rather than individual craftsmanship. Penney stores anchored down downtown commercial districts, reshaping local economies around consumption. The opening of his 48th store in our downtown area represents the maturity of this system, a standardized retail outlet embedded in a national distribution network, yet central to local economic life. While Penney viewed his success as morally earned and theoretically attainable by anyone, historians emphasize the limits of postbellum opportunity. His access to credit, mentorship, and advancement depended on racial, gender, and religious privilege. As historian Stephen Hahn demonstrates, African Americans and many others were systematically excluded from similar economic pathways, despite the same structural transformations. Penney's story, therefore, illustrates both possibility and exclusion. His poverty shaped his discipline and strategy, but structural advantages shaped his access to opportunity. In conclusion, J.C. Penney's rise from poverty to corporate success reveals how the postbellum economy rewarded those who adapted to wage labor, moral capitalism, and organizational systems. His success was not merely personal. It was produced by national markets, credit networks, and cultural values forged after the Civil War. The opening of his 48th store in our downtown area stands as tangible evidence of how postbellum economic transformations permanently reshaped American communities, labor, and consumer life.